right, the next question asked was more of a schedule on like my routine of training, you know, strength conditioning, all my forms of martial arts, and if there's an off season for me, or if I just do it year round. You know, when I first got into the sport, after I graduated college wrestling, I decided I wanted to be a fighter and was going to fight 2 months after training. There was no off season. For the first 3 years of training, I probably didn't have an off season. I wouldn't say that's the smartest, but for me to catch up, it was. For me to get to where I wanted to be as fast as I was, I had to learn a lot of technique, right? I did less strength conditioning because of it. I didn't have time for it. But now that I'm an established fighter, you have to have off seasons. You'll get burnt out. You know, if I'm just going to consistently go 100 miles an hour, my engine's going to blow, right? You'll actually think you're out of shape. Really, you're just overworked, right? So there's got to be an off season, not only physically, but mentally. Go find some things you like to do for fun. I'll go escape in the mountains for weeks on end, going hunting where no one can get a hold of me, right? Come back refreshed. Hang out with your kid. Find things to do that you like to do. And I like to do those right after my fights, right? Right after my fights, I'll get those things done so I'm hungry to get back in the gym again. But you gotta find an off season. Unless you're trying to hustle it out like I did. I was 24 years old, wanted to start making cash, so I trained straight for 3 years. But again, I was probably more injured those 3 years than I've ever been in my entire life, besides now. But that was by choice. So yeah, find your off season, find your escapes. Don't make them too long. One thing you cannot have an off season on though is your diet. I wouldn't have an off season on your diet. I would keep that lifelong or year long. That'll make your comeback from your off season training that much easier because your body's already running the way it should be from what you're putting into it, right? Maybe not the stress load you're putting on it, but the diet you're eating. Stick to that year round. All right, the next question was another diet question. And someone is a big fan of mine asking about my ketogenic diet, right? I'm not ketogenic. My body will go into ketosis, but I do more of like an intermittent ketogenic diet. For as hard as I work, I can't be on perfect keto, right? I wouldn't be able to eat fruits, things like that, the things I need, those simple carbs. You've got to give your body simple carbs, right? Simple carbs burn clean, they burn the right way, if you have a workload. If you're not working hard, sure, go keto, you know? But still, I still think you should come in and out of it, healthier for your system. As well as, I wouldn't be able to eat as many veggies as I eat on a ketogenic diet, right? I eat insane amounts of vegetables, lots of greens, lots of dim juice, which our dim juices are cold pressed juice, right? And I have a certain recipe that I use that we call our dim juice to help boost my testosterone, help myself burning fat. The whole reason why I'm opening up my own cold pressed juice store called Clean Juice here in Yorba Linda. So if you live in Yorba Linda, make sure to, or anywhere close, make sure to come check us out. We should be open in September. I'm excited about that. But again, intermittent keto is the way to go. Still eat simple carbs. I don't eat any grains, no sugar, unless it's simple sugars from like fruits and things like that. But I hope that answers your question. I can't give you everything, but I can give you enough. All right, the next question was, what is the best way to train? Full body or splits? You know, saying like upper body, lower body, or back and bis and things like that. I guess it depends on what your goal is and how much time you have. If you're a professional fighter or someone that's doing this for a living, obviously I think splits to an extent is the way to go. You got to reach different types of anaerobic and aerobic thresholds and lactate thresholds all in one training system. So I do an upper and lower body days sometimes, or I'll do a full body sometimes. My coach is the one that kind of puts me on that, but so there's benefits to both. I would say if you don't have all the time in the world, full body training is the way to go. Get it all down in one practice, kill yourself, take a couple days off, come back and do it again. All right, the most frequently asked question, and that's why I left it last, is asking my advice on the best way. They're aspiring to be a UFC fighter. What's the best path that I took or that I could give advice to take to get there? And I'm still gonna say this 1,000% of the time is wrestling. Learn how to wrestle, not only for the martial art. Go find a club wrestling program, even though the wrestling's different, right? Go find somewhere where you can compete on a weekend basis learn how to wrestle for the work ethic, for the weight loss, for the temperament, and the learning how to drive, as well as most importantly, the technique of fighting, right? Because wrestlers can dictate where the fight goes. If there's a fight matchup and one guy's way stronger at wrestling, I always want money on him, right? Look at the percentages of world champions in the UFC and what their background is. I came up from wrestling, started wrestling 8 years old, graduated college on a full ride scholarship, then I decided to fight. I'm not saying that's the perfect way to go about it, but fighting wasn't very popular when I was in school. And I'm glad I went and got a degree. I'm glad I learned to grow up and become a man before I got into fighting, right? I had a lot of growing up to do from my 18 to 22 years old of how to become a man and hold myself responsible, and wrestling did that for me. Wrestling by far made me the man I am today, able to push through adversity. So my number one tip is learn how to wrestle for many reasons.